We are going to be hitting up a period of time here in the next 10 days. That should be truly exciting because, the last 10 days haven't been. So if you've liked the action so far, I think the next 10 days should provide all kinds of fun. Let's take a look at what is pretty likely to happen over the next 10 days. Number one, we will find out where, if, and when, or would that be if, where, and when robotaxi is going to unveil. Do you think that's going to happen within the next 10 days? Yes. I think if we don't get the final information before, we'll get it at the earnings call. But right now, I don't know what's going on with this whole thing. The fact that Elon has not yet denied or confirmed would suggest to me that it's still on. But as I mentioned the other day, they may be trying to figure out what to do, and they kind of know they got until earnings call to actually make the call with regard to when the reveal will happen. All right, number two, we will get China's numbers for the second week, and then, of course, a week from Tuesday, the same day as the earnings call, we'll get for the third week. Those two things commonly move the market. So it will be interesting to see what the numbers look like out of China. A lot of people suggesting that the China numbers could be getting better. Number three, we will have more adjustments to the earnings estimates leading up to July 23rd and the earnings call. So that means we've already had, I think, I want to say 4 or 5. I want to say 4. I would call them upgrades because in every single case, they were increasing what they thought the price target was for the stock. But in one case, they did say they were putting a sell on the stock because their price target was now under 200, but it was still better than their old price target. So anyway, but I'm guessing that we will have other people coming in, giving their earnings estimates. Well, not guessing. There will be people coming in this week giving their earnings estimate. And in the course of giving those earnings estimates, they may also do some price targeting. And any one or combination of those could also move the market next week. Then number 5, we will be getting many questions answered at the Q2 earnings call. Let's see, here's a few of the ones that I'm expecting that we may get some updates on. For instance, it could be the robotaxi. Well, I just said that. So will we have a robotaxi meeting? If we're going to have a robotaxi meeting, when will it be? All that should, if not before, we should have that by that day. I think we'll probably get a 4680 production evaluation. If it's not brought up, it might be brought up in the notes, but if it's not, or by Elon in his comments, but if not, I think somebody will ask the question. There will be probably some color on Cybertruck production. I think that'll almost certainly happen. How many per week? What's the record week? Maybe they'll really try hard to have a great week or something between now and then. And or maybe some more speculation about what the production will look like later this year. Elon has been doing that regularly, and so I would love to see that as well. I think potentially we'll have an update on the 2.5 vehicle. I don't think they're going to tell us anything, any clear messages about what it's going to look like or anything like that, because that's not what they do at these earnings meetings, but maybe they'll just give us an update that it's still planned before the end of the year or early next. That would be good enough. That would be very helpful potentially to the stock. And then we would have, I'm 100% positive. I can absolutely guarantee that unless it's like the day before or sometime between now and then, we will have some more color on the current status of the FSD, whether that's 12.5, whether that's 12.4.4 or 5 or something like that. A lot of people right now are saying we really, really need the highway stack. There's been a lot of people talking about how good this 12.3 or 12.4 is, 12.4.3 is, but that it has quite a few not so great elements to it. So maybe some of those will be cleaned up and we'll see either a 12.4.4 or maybe already skipping up to 12.5. But I would expect color on that. Then we would have some possibly status reports on the compensation plan and the Texas move on the legal matters in both of those cases. I think that's probably a good chance we'll get some update there. I would say we should get the start date for the data center in Austin. This is a very big deal. It's right at the top of Elon's mind. And if he doesn't say it, I think he'll be asked about it. When will they actually turn that data center on? The fans are in. They've been loading in the chips. Maybe we're looking at that in 3 months, maybe it's 4 months, but I think they'll probably give us some idea, which might also include some ideas in terms of their ramp towards their October 100 billion, jillion, quadrillion mega floppo roonies or something. I can never, it's one of those ones I just haven't got in my brain yet. Is it 100 mega flops? Could that be? I don't know. I can't keep up. All right. So you can let me know in the comments below. The start, then we would have maybe, I'm thinking they'll do something. They'll give us some kind of an update on the mega factory in China, the lithium processing in Corpus Christi at a bare minimum. Looks like Berlin's run into some problems with regard to, I don't know, the unions or something. I can't figure it all. I can't keep that up either because they've got so many doggone people that have to approve this thing before they can start putting up the walls. It sure be nice to be able to get Berlin starting into the next phase. I hope somebody will ask about Grok in the car. I really want to have that conversation going when I'm driving around. Later today, I'm going an hour and a half both ways to the west side of Los Angeles. And it'd be fun to be able to have a conversation with Grok. Anyway, I think we'll get some news about Optimus. Are there more than 2 in the factory now? Are there going to be more than 2 in the factory shortly? Have they fired any Optimi yet? They had 2. Is it possible that one of them didn't work out that well? Maybe it didn't fit in. I don't know. Anyway, I would think maybe there's a possibility they'll give us a little bit of idea about the numbers for the year, because Elon did say they were going to beat this year 1.8. What was it? 1.82, I forget, right around there last year. A lot of people think it's going to be lower, like 1.7. I'd love to have Elon reiterate that the total year sales for this year will still be a beat. That would be very helpful to the stock. And then since this, Elon mentioned this is a trough year, well, isn't it maybe time to tell us what he thinks the increase in vehicle sales is going to look like for 2025 and even beyond that? Maybe he can say, look, now going out from now on, at the end of this year, we will be looking at a 30% CAGR on vehicles. That'd be good. 25, I don't care. Pick a number, whatever you think it's going to be, Elon. That'd be great to hear. All right, this is Randy Kirk, by the way. Please hit like, subscribe, notify. One more thing, if you're on X and you haven't followed me yet, come on now. I need more followers over there. I'm putting up a ton of content on X. If you're not following me on X, if you're not paying attention to what's going on X, I mean, pretty much you're going to hear it all here, but are you really listening to the 1.5 to 3 hours a day of content that I'm making over here? I hope so, but I know it's hard, but you can get a lot of snippets over on X. Now, that doesn't mean you should stop watching here. All right. Anyway, Patreon, you know what to do. Could use a bunch more folks joining Patreon. That would be very, very helpful. We are working towards that $50 an hour. That's the goal. Remember, $50 an hour. When I get to $50 an hour doing this show, that's when I will stop bugging you. I won't even ask anymore, okay? British Petroleum. According to Barron's, British Petroleum released its annual energy outlook Wednesday. Among its conclusions, oil demand will plateau by 2025. Plateau, oil demand. Well, now, Kathy Wood thinks it plateaued a couple of years ago, but it's been going up ever since. But anyway, they think it'll plateau in 2025, after which the decline will depend on how aggressively the countries around the world slash their carbon emissions. If countries get serious about the net zero goal, oil demand could fall to 25 million barrels a day in 2050 from 102 million barrels today. I think that's probably realistic, maybe even better than that, but that is a long-term prospect. I am pretty sure that they are incorrect about peak oil next year because of the data centers. All right. And so I think that we're going to be doing more oil, not less, for the next few years till this data center thing, till we get that out of our system. I think there's a limit. I keep asking all these guys that know way more about it than me, well, isn't there a limit to how many of these data centers we need in order to do AG and AGI, whatever? And they're all like, no, no, you just build more and more. You make them faster and faster, and you make them bigger and bigger and more powerful and more powerful. And you just keep doing that because there's no limit. And I think there's a limit. Let me know in the comments below. I'm no expert, but there's almost, it just makes sense to me that there's a point at which you won't need more compute at those kind of levels, at least. And you'll be able to slow down the amount of stuff you're putting in. OPEC then released their monthly outlook on Wednesday, but they came to a completely different conclusion. Oil demand is rising and there's no sunset in sight. OPEC sees demand growing by 4.1 million barrels a day from 2023 to 2025 and rising through at least 2045. See, I don't agree with that at all. I think probably we'll reach peak oil around 2030 because of these data centers. Then we'll come down really fast because I think they're not going to need many data centers after 2030. I could be completely wrong. The Paris-based International Energy Agency forecasts a 2029 peak. Close to mine. I don't think anything that Paris does is right, but they could be right. The U.S. Energy Information Administration says between 2030 and 24 is when we'll hit, 2030 and 2040 is when we'll hit peak oil. Different views from a bunch of different people. Forbes says that the birth-death trend line model used by the Bureau of Labor Statistics added 90,000 people to the NFP, the National, I should have looked that up. But data on net new small business formations indicate that small business employment is falling, not rising. This is all about employment. Eliminating that 90,000 from the NFP makes the assumption that small business employment was flat. And that would leave the NFP at only a plus 5,000. If small business employment actually fell, it's likely that actual net change in, non-farm payroll. I've never seen it. I've probably done it a million times, but I've never paid any attention. So that would mean that the actual net change in net farm employment was more likely negative, not even positive. In past blogs, they say we have opined that we saw deflation coming right now because of the long lag in the rent data used by the Bureau of Labor Statistics in the CPI calculation. And we've been talking about that for a year. Kathy's been talking about it. Even the Fed has talked about it. The chart that they're showing, and I'm not putting it up, just take my word for it, shows various inflation indices through May. Note that the apartment list national rent index peaked more than 2.5 years ago and has been going negative since Q2 of 23, currently standing at negative 0.7% year over year. Wow. Meanwhile, the rent of primary residence used in the CPI was 5.3 in May, way above reality. And so over the next few quarters, rents with more than a third of that's more than 1/3 of the CPI weight will continue to push the index lower. Because we know that goods prices are deflating and that rents in the CPI calculation will trend lower because of these lags and the BLS, we are confident that the CPI will show deflationary tendencies over the next few quarters. While many will cheer a deflationary spiral, things will cost less. We caution that one should be careful what one wishes for, because deflation historically is always associated with rising unemployment and recession. The Citigroup Economic Surprise Index turned negative in April, and surprises to the negative side have since dominated. This is another sign of a slowing economy. Okay, so I continue with you won't forget this one because I've repeated it so many times now. Third quarter will be in recession. Second quarter might already be. Kathy Woods thinks that they'll revise it and show that we've been in recession since last year. I'm saying no, I think we were okay, but in second quarter, we might have fallen into recession, or it might just be barely close to the zero line, but third quarter recession for sure. Fourth quarter, maybe. Of course, it takes 2 quarters to make an actual recession as opposed just to a negative GDP. All right, so what do we got coming up? Here's what you got to look forward to. Larry and I have been missing each other all day long today. We've been trying to do the Kathy Wood report. That might still happen later tonight. I'm not sure. You might see it at 6 o'clock tonight. Maybe it'll be out at 6 o'clock California time. You might see it at 7 o'clock California time tomorrow morning. Maybe it'll be later in the day. We're trying to get that together. It's a very interesting report, I can promise you. So we're working on that. Also, tomorrow you will have, of course, Monday night. No, what did I just say? You will have Monday morning, the show we call Monday morning, which is on Sunday night, which talks about what's happening in the week ahead. Now, the Brian White video that I did this morning, that I put up this morning, was good. It was really good. It's fun. Not only, I mean, it's you know, if you're looking for some amusing stuff to look at, this also valuable and interesting for Tesla followers. Well, there's the card right there. Go check it out, and then jump down to Patreon and help me out. Help us get to $50 an hour. Wouldn't that be lovely for this old dude to make $50 an hour from his chair, from his 𝐒𝐮𝐧𝐝𝐲 chair? I know. Okay. All right. That's it. That's all I got for you. It's been great talking to you.